Hey everyone, it's Avané with Kyngston Kitchen. I am taking over Bigo Bistro today to make a seared salmon dish topped with shrimp, a Parmesan cream sauce, some garlic mash, and some crisp asparagus. Alrighty guys, so we are going to jump right into our seared salmon dinner dish. So we are going to start with some fresh Atlantic salmon, some white shrimp that has already been peeled, and then we'll just jump right into it. So I have some water boiling right now for our potatoes. I do have some baby yellow potatoes that I am going to start cutting up. They have already been washed as well, just for easy prep. We're just gonna half them. It just makes them cook a lot faster. I use the baby yellow potatoes. I just really like the flavor of them. They just give me like a more buttery, silky presence when we whip them. So I really like these. Sometimes I'll use the red potatoes if I'm making more of like a steak or like a red meat dish, but I really like these when I'm cooking something that's more of an Italian style dish. So we already have these. Let's go ahead and add them to our pot of boiling water. I'm just gonna drop those right in there. And we are just gonna set these to boil for about 10 to 15 minutes. I have already added salt and a little bit of olive oil to the water as well. All right, so we are gonna go ahead and start with seasoning up our Atlantic salmon, which has already been cleaned as well. I'm gonna start with an olive oil drizzle on top and just to make those seasonings that we're gonna put on stick. Then we are going to start with some smoked paprika. Add in some black pepper, some granulated garlic, onion powder, and some red chili flakes. And that's really just to give it a nice kick, because I, again, do like really spicy food. So we're gonna go ahead and flip it. I am going to remove the skin on the back of this salmon. So we're gonna go ahead and do the exact same thing to the other side of the salmon. Again, a little bit of the olive oil drizzle, smoked paprika, chili powder, black pepper, granulated garlic, onion powder, and red chili flakes. Again, for that spice, I add a little bit extra because I really just like spicy food. So going ahead, I'm gonna massage all those good seasonings in. Make sure you get every corner, every crevice of your salmon seasoned. Salmon is actually one of the easiest things that you can cook, just because you can eat it at different temperatures. It is one of my favorite fishes to cook. Salmon is one of my favorite fishes to cook because I do like the mild flavor. Atlantic salmon just has a really robust taste, and there's so many different things that you can make with it. So we're gonna go ahead and we are gonna heat up our cast iron again. I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit of olive oil into the pan. And I'm gonna let that heat up for a couple of minutes. And while we do that, I am gonna push our salmon to the side because we actually have some shrimp that we are gonna be adding to this dish as well, and we are gonna be seasoning it with the exact same seasonings. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it on this side, get that going. Exact same seasoning, so we'll go ahead with the olive oil drizzle. Go ahead and add that smoked paprika, chili powder, black pepper, that garlic, some onion powder, and red chili flakes. I'm gonna add a little bit extra because I want this, since it's gonna be going on the top of the dish, to be extra spicy. We're gonna go ahead and massage all of that in. And it sounds like our cast iron is heating up. So cast iron is nice and hot. We're gonna go ahead and add our salmon. I love cooking with cast irons because they do heat up so quickly. Make sure if you do use cast irons that you do take care of them. So not putting them in the dishwasher, making sure that you're keeping oil in them to keep them seasoned per se, and to keep that rust out of your pot as well. So whenever I'm done cooking and I wash it, I like to take a little bit of olive oil, put it on a napkin, and I just rub it around it just to, keep the maintenance up on my cast iron pot. So we are gonna go ahead and add our salmon to our hot cast iron pot through our olive oil, and we are just gonna turn it up to about a medium high so that we can get a nice golden color on the outside, and just making sure that it cooks thoroughly inside as well. So while we have our salmon going, our potatoes are going and they're looking really good, I am going to go ahead and I am going to move our potato pot to the back, and I am gonna start working on our Parmesan cream sauce. So we're gonna go ahead and start heating up our pan. I do have a stick of garlic and herb butter. So we're gonna go ahead and put like about a quarter of that butter stick into the pan. We're gonna let that start getting melted down. I have some peeled garlic here that I'm gonna be adding once that butter melts. I also have some Monterey Jack cheese that I have already shredded, my heavy whipping cream that we're gonna add to the pot as well. And then we are going to season our sauce with the exact same seasonings that we seasoned our salmon and our shrimp with as well. And I'm gonna turn up the stove on our salmon just a little bit higher. So with the Parmesan cream sauce, I really love Italian food. It's one of my favorite foods. And so chicken Alfredo is probably like one of my favorite sauces. So I like to incorporate those flavors of like the heavy whipping cream to make my sauces really rich. And the Jack cheese really just thickens up the sauce. And I love garlic, so I add it to everything. And that's how we are gonna make our cream sauce today. So I'm gonna go ahead and check on our salmon. It looks like the other side is starting to cook. So go ahead and flip that over and make sure that we're cooking it evenly on both sides. Our butter for our cream sauce has melted, so I am gonna start with adding in our fresh garlic to the pot. And I'm not gonna cut it. I really just want it to cook through and kind of get like a little bit toasted, so I am gonna raise the heat a little bit on that garlic. So we're gonna go ahead and move forward with starting on our asparagus. So I am gonna add a little bit of olive oil to the pot. We have already washed our asparagus. Go ahead and put that in. And we're just gonna let that olive oil heat up a little bit. Our salmon is still looking really good. We got a really nice brown color on the top. Probably got about like 10 more minutes with that. And our garlic is looking really good for our cream sauce. So I'm gonna go ahead and start adding in our ingredients. So I'm gonna add in the heavy whipping cream. Go ahead and start with that smoked paprika, a little bit of chili powder, again, red pepper flakes because I really like spice, some black pepper, a little bit more garlic and onion powder. And I am gonna put our cheeses in last. I'm just gonna kind of let this come to like a slow boil. We're gonna go ahead and check on our salmon. Go ahead and flip it again. And it has a really, really good sear now on the other side. So it is looking really, really good. We're gonna go ahead and add in our asparagus to our pan in the back. Our oil is nice and hot, so it is doing really good. And I am just gonna top it with some lemon pepper. I don't wanna take away from the flavor from the cream sauce that is gonna be on top of this asparagus. So I'm just going in for a little bit of flavor with that. So we're gonna go in with our whisk and go ahead and just whisk those seasonings together. So that's looking really good. And I'm gonna slowly just start adding in the grated Parmesan. So our cheese sauce is thickening up. It is looking really good. We are gonna go ahead and add in the Jack cheese and go ahead and mix that in. And I went ahead and cut the heat on it because this pan is so hot. The sauce is already hot and we're just gonna kind of let it do its thing. Nice and thick. We're gonna go ahead and check on our asparagus. We are not gonna cook these too long because I do want them to have more of a crisp texture, just because we are gonna have the mashed potatoes and the salmon that are a little bit more on the softer side. So I do wanna have a little bit of a crunch in this dish. Gonna keep that on for just a couple more minutes. So we're gonna go ahead and move the cream sauce to the back on a cold burner, just so that it doesn't continue to cook. And I'm gonna move this pot to the front. Go ahead and put it on medium. We are gonna make the sauce for our mashed potatoes. We're gonna go ahead and start with a 1/4 stick of butter, and we're gonna go ahead and add that to the pot. As this butter is melting, I'm gonna add in a chicken bouillon cube into this butter before I add in my whipping cream. Just gonna mix that around, mix that in. And our butter's melted, so I'm gonna go ahead and add in our heavy whipping cream. I like to make the sauce for my mashed potatoes separate, just so that they don't get too soggy when I'm mixing it in. It's really important to do this while your potatoes are hot as well. Just go ahead and mix that sauce together. And I am gonna turn off our asparagus. Check on our salmon. It's looking really, really good as well. And I'm gonna cut the heat to that one as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove our salmon from the pot. I'm just gonna put it on this plate to let it rest. And then while we have that resting, I am gonna add in another 1/4 of the garlic and herb butter because we are gonna cook our shrimp in the same pot. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop that in there. And our sauce for our potatoes is looking really, really good. So we just put it on a low boil. Alrighty, so we are gonna go ahead and add our shrimp to the same pot that we had our salmon in. And we're just gonna go around the perimeter of the pan so it's just the heat is distributed evenly. Go ahead and check on our sauce for our potatoes, and it's looking really good. So I am going to go ahead and turn down the heat on it because I do not want this sauce to burn. And then we're gonna go ahead and add our potatoes back into the pot. You wanna make sure you keep an eye on your shrimp so it doesn't overcook. As soon as it starts to form in that C shape, just go ahead and turn them over. There should be no pink on your shrimp. So we don't have a traditional potato masher today, but you can use anything that's really sturdy. I usually like to whip my potatoes, but we're gonna use what we got today. So we're gonna go ahead and we're just gonna mix that sauce in with our potatoes. And we do still have the heat on a low. So we're gonna go ahead and we are gonna remove our shrimp from the pan. Again, making sure you do not overcook your shrimp. You do not want rubbery shrimp. And our sauce is still really hot, and so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add in some sun-dried tomatoes into our sauce. I'm gonna go ahead and mix that in. And then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna fold in some fresh spinach that I have already washed as well. And I'm just gonna fold this in because I want it to still have a little bit of that texture from the spinach, and I don't want it to be overcooked. So we're just gonna fold that into the sauce. So we're gonna go ahead and start by adding our mashed potatoes to the plate. Just gonna center those right there. I do like my mashed potatoes a little bit chunkier if I'm not whipping them. And we're gonna go ahead and just top some of our asparagus on top of those potatoes. Just like that. Then we're gonna go in with our salmon. And then we're gonna go ahead and top it with our sauce. I'm a saucy girl, so I like a lot of sauce, but for today's purposes, we're just gonna put a little bit on there. And then we're gonna go ahead and add our shrimp right on top. Some fresh parsley we cut earlier. Garnish the sides with a little bit of microgreens. And that's how you make garlic mashed potatoes, asparagus, seared salmon with a Parmesan garlic cream sauce. Pew, pew.